make a bake. But you're not going to be commenting? Welcome to the Thundercloud Corpse Files and Sage. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big fuck you to YouTube for trying to shut me down. This comes one day after I said Patrick Mahomes was overrated and YouTube is coming after me. I'd also like to give a shout out to my unvaccinated brother, Aaron Rodgers, who fucking threw 4 tutties to down today, and he took care of fucking business. But first and foremost, fuck you, YouTube. I might have to take my talents elsewhere. You want to fucking try to shut me down? Good luck, motherfuckers. Good luck. Alright, before we get into the NFL, which will be our primary focus today, there's a lot of stuff to get into. Let's just take a look at the Blue Jays. Now, last night, I must have been seeing things. I must have been seeing the future. I must have been reading into premonitions and all this shit, because I predicted today immaculately. I'll say damn near immaculately. I said the Jays would lose to the Yankees and they'd be 2 games up on them entering today. Well, guess what? The Jays lost today to Max Fried and the New York Yankees 4-3. We'll take a quick look at the box score, then we're going to get to the real business. And we'll talk a little shop. I know Sage is itching. Sage is itching for a bitchin'. I know. He wants to talk about the Cam opener. Cam Ward. I know. All right. So the Jays lost 4-3. Was to be expected. We were up against their ace, Max Fried, who's 16-5 with a 3.02 ERA. Max Scherzer, 4.36 ERA. He had 8 strikeouts and 4 1/3 inning. The only problem is he fucking let 4 earned runs. So that's not very good there. Ryan Baracki actually pitched pretty good, didn't let a run, as did Braden Fisher and Jeff Hoffman. None of them let a run, so the bullpen did good. Max Scherzer, I mean, he had a nice strikeout rate. 8 strikeouts and 4 1/3 is good, but 4 earned runs and 4 1/3 inning is not good. So that kind of sucks there. Offensively, the Jays weren't great, but they did have 8 hits. We'll just quickly go over those and see what the hell we did. None of our hits were home runs. That's a problem. George Springer was 1 for 4. Addison Barger was 1 for 1. Vladimir Guerrero staying hot was 2 for 4. He's up to an 893 OPS, so he's looking pretty damn good. His average is up over 300 as well. Kirk 0 for 3 with a walk. You got Ernie Clement 1 for 3 with a walk, and then you got Kiner Falefa. He was 1 for fucking 3 with a RBI. That sounds wrong saying. He usually sucks. And you got Nathan Lucas 2 for 3. So that rounds it out. The Jays are 82 and 61. We've got, what, 21 games or something left. We need to stop playing 500. We've been 500 doing these streams for at least the last 2 weeks. If we continue to play 500, the Yankees will leapfrog us. They're 2 games back. They do have the best run differential in the American League. So we got to look out. We got to start looking over our shoulder a bit more. I'm not so worried about the Red Sox, who still have 79 wins, but come on. We need to start going on a bit of a tear. I'm just going to check and see who the Blue Jays play next, and then we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot off of this, and we're going to talk a little football. Unless Sage wants me to talk about a little bit of NBA, which I know, that's usually his forte. The next series we've got is the Houston Astros. I think they're the 3rd best team in the American League. So, good luck, Toronto. We're going to fucking need it. All right, so where do we even start? Where are we even going to start today? Do we start with the games that, we predicted mostly or focused on? Do we just run through the scores and comment? How are we going to do this? Because this is the first time that we've ever done this here at the Thundercloud, or damn near anywhere. Sage, what are your thoughts? How are we going to break this down? Save the best for last, I guess. Save the Bills-Ravens for last. And the Packers-Lions for last. Break down the good ones. Well, I got 3 that I want to break down. How about we break down the scores first? So we'll break down the scores first, and then we'll just break down the bigger games. That work? We'll go through all the ones that weren't the 3 that I watched or fell asleep to. So I said that Arizona would win by a touchdown against New Orleans. They won exactly 20-13. All I know from that game was Marvin Harrison had a touchdown. Played pretty damn good for me. Now, because they won 20-13. Now, the Indianapolis Colts Miami Dolphins game. Before all you Colts fans get too fucking pumped up, realize you were playing Tua, and Tua did not look right. That team sucks. I thought if there was going to be a difference maker, it was going to be Tua. Tua had 2 picks today. Tua lost 33-8 to the goddamn Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones did look okay. So I did expect Indianapolis to be the better team. Did not expect them to blow them out. Absolutely not. And I thought Tua was going to be maybe a bit more of a difference maker. He didn't play very good at all. If you're a Miami fan, you might as well start maybe counting down the days until you get maybe Archie Manning or something, because you're going to be a top 5 draft pick, in my humble opinion. Now, this was a game that I struggled with a little bit, was Las Vegas on the road against New England. Geno Smith threw for almost 400 yards today. They picked up a 20-13 win. Ashton Giante was not overly solid, but he's a rookie. It's his first game. He's going to be fine. For those of you that do fantasy and you're freaking out, Ashton Giante's going to be fine. Now, I think Geno Smith had a pick or 2. I'm not sure. But, I mean, a 20-13 win against New England's a pretty good win. Now, I do not expect New England to win 7 or 8 games like a lot of projections say, because usually the ones that win the offseason, like the Chicago Bears, are the ones that suck, for a couple of years usually. Now, the next game we'll get into in more depth shortly. That was the Pittsburgh Steelers pulling off a win against the New York Jets, 34-32, pulling it off late. Now, we've got, and I did expect Washington to win. They won 21-6 over the New York Giants, who have a great defensive line. I did say that last night, and I'm going to say it tonight. Now, Russell Wilson looked absolutely feeble. He was the feeble weasel tonight. I believe he only averaged 4.5 fucking yards per attempt. It's time to get Jackson Dart in there. This guy is slinging it. Get him in there next game. Stop fucking around. This game could have been a lot closer if they had played Jackson Dart. Don't fuck around. If you guys want to keep your jobs, start playing Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson's garbage. And I mean that with all due respect to Russell Wilson. He used to be a good little flash in the pan quarterback when he had Marshawn Lynch and the Legion of Boom. He's not what he used to be. Now, the Redskins are going to take the Green Bay Packers on Thursday. That's going to be a hell of a game. The Packers are a better team, in my opinion. We'll break down the Packers a bit later, though. Now, Jackson, let me take a look at the comments here, because they might start banning these comments any minute here. They might start fucking banning these comments any fucking moment here. Dan says, A-Rod still got it. We'll get to Aaron Rodgers shortly. Says, I feel bad for you, Sage. I send my condolences. Sage says, why? He says, we're a rebuilding team. We don't expect wins. Titans, feel bad for someone else. LOL, we're not going to win for a few years. And then Dan says, that's why I feel bad for you. I do think that this is a genuine concern, Sage. He did say when we were watching the telecast tonight that he felt bad for you because your team has been lousy for a while. And I said, well, he can always change his team. And Dan actually vouched for you, and he said, no, he's not allowed to change his team. So he respects the earnestness of you not changing your team. But the Titans did pretty good today, actually. The Titans were supposed to get blown out by Denver, and they almost covered that spread. But we're going to get to that very shortly. Oh, goddamn. You know, whenever you got, a horse in your throat, a little bit of, dryness in your mouth, please have a little dry ice here. It'll really hydrate you real good. It is the official sponsor of the Thundercloud. Or should I say unofficial sponsor? Because they don't know yet. Now, Jacksonville today won 26-10 against Carolina. This was a game, yeah, I could see Carolina winning. Or Jacksonville winning, sorry. But I thought Carolina would keep it closer. I think they kind of fucked up and maybe trading Adam Thielen away. I know Ted McMillan was pretty good because I do have him in my fantasy league. But Carolina, they really ended last year looking good. Bryce Young didn't look good today. Ted McMillan did, so I like him for my fantasy pick. He was one of my top receivers. But, man, Carolina, get your shit together, man. You guys were looking good last year. Now, here's one that I got right and wrong as well. So you got Cincinnati Bengals, so they were supposed to cover 6 points. And I thought they'd cover on the road against the Browns. They didn't cover, but they got the job done. They won 17-16. I think Joe Burrow only threw 1 touchdown today. Cleveland can be tough. Joe Flacco had way more yards than Joe Burrow, but he threw 2 picks. Cincinnati is known to struggle in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. So the fact that they got a win is enough for me, honestly. Tampa Bay. This was one that I said, hey, this is going to be a tight game that I think Tampa's going to win by 3. Because the cover of the spread, I believe, was 2.5. Tampa Bay did win 23-20 over Atlanta. However, coup for Atlanta missed a last-second field goal to tie the game. So there you go. And a few other notes here. We've got, I really thought Seattle would win against San Fran. San Fran pulled off the upset. I do believe it was late. They won 17-13. Now, here's a few things to note about San Fran. George Kittle didn't play today, so that's big news. And Jawan Jennings is getting an MRI. I don't know for what. I haven't had a chance to do any reading or anything like that. But if Jawan Jennings goes down and George Kittle misses any more time, add to that, if Christian McCaffrey is going to miss any more fucking time, this is not looking good for San Fran. That's all I got to say. It's good. You picked up the win today. That is good. But, damn, you guys could be injured as hell. Now, Tennessee did cover. My bad. So Denver was projected to win by 8.5. So that means they needed to score 9 or more. For you out there that don't know how this shit works. Well, Tennessee covered. They covered Denver, a tough team. Bo Nix looked human based on the scouting report I read. I believe he had a touchdown and 2 interceptions. And from what I gather, Calvin Ridley had 2 or 3 drops. And their other receivers had drops as well. From what I gather, Cam Ward looked pretty damn good today. Sage, you're the one that watched that game. Please give us your takeaways in the comments, and I will spill it out to the earth. And I'll read the comments while we're waiting for it. Sage says, we've only been bad for like 3 years. Our first GM fucked up the rebuild. The GM that traded A.J. Brown away for Treylon Burks or whatever his name was, that GM. I'm not trying to bring up, I'm asking you the questions, Sage. I'm just asking you the questions. I'm not trying to troll you right now, bud. But break down the game. How did Cam Ward look in his debut? There was a lot of drops. Okay, so we had penalties. So who were getting the penalties? Was it offense or defense? How many drops do you think that your team had? The play calling killed us as well. So Sage is throwing Brian Callahan under a bus. And then he says, yeah, that idiot that made the trade of A.J. Brown to the Eagles. You could have shopped the Eagles. You could have shopped A.J. Brown to any team. When you trade at the draft, most teams still have the cap space, and most teams still have the draft capital because none of them have drafted, right? It was a dumb trade. So on both sides. I know Jeffrey Simmons had one where he pushed a guy. It was a 15-yard penalty. It was soft a bit. He should have known better. But I think some of these 15-yard penalties need to be changed to 5. Like, I think 15 needs to be like a flagrant, and a 5 is like, okay, you're a fucking idiot. Like today, Xavier McKinney got a penalty and a warning to be suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct for talking shit after a play. I don't think you should get 15 yards for talking shit, in my opinion. That's just from the Packers game. One thing that I noted, I was like, that's kind of a little fucked up, you know what I mean? So Cam looked poised, made good throws when he actually had time. So you're also alluding to maybe the offensive line needs a bit more time to shine, a bit more time to grow, etc., etc. All right, that makes sense to me. So basically, they were running on first down. They were not doing play action on first down, it sounds like, ever. You know, I love, the thing about it is you need to have a tendency, but at some point you need to break the tendency. That's how play actions work. So yeah, you know, if you're typically going to run 3 or 4 out of 5 times on first down, that's great. You're establishing a tendency. But at some point you need to break up that tendency with a play action. That's where it all comes from. You got to mix it up at the right time. Sage says, what is a play action? I don't think we ran any. We, being the Tennessee Titans, didn't run any, honestly. And the drops were right in the hands. You know what? You guys covered Denver, who's highly hyped right now, despite all that bullshit. And it's week 1. I assume you guys have a young team. You're only going to get better. I actually think you guys checked the box off this week. Now, Calvin Ridley is getting paid to catch balls. He needs to catch balls. Well, the defense wasn't. You only let 20 points. You had 2 takeaways from Bo Nix. I think you stifled their running backs with the exception of R.J. Harvey, who was on my team, who had a 50-yard pop and 70 yards on 6 carries. But yeah, I think you guys did pretty good today. So you know what? You pat yourself on the back there, Sage, a little bit. The Green Bay Packers won 27-13. It was more of a blowout than that. We'll get into that in more detail shortly. I was wrong. I really thought that Matthew Stafford and his back was concerning. And you know what? Houston almost did win the game. But I also said I don't think Houston's going to be great too, so kind of convoluted reporting there. But the Rams won 14-9 against Houston. So both offenses were futile, were not very good. Both teams turned over the ball in the other team's red zone towards the end of the game, back to back, I might add. So very interesting there. Then we got Buffalo winning 41-40, coming back to beat Baltimore. Had some good luck. We'll get into that very shortly. Now, we need to know that tomorrow Minnesota is going to play Chicago. I think Minnesota's probably going to win the game on the road, but we're going to talk more about that game tomorrow, so I don't want to spend any more time on that. I'm going to take a quick little peek at rotoworld.com and see if I missed anything. No, we already talked about Bo Nix. Marvin Mims did nothing against Tennessee. You got, apparently, Tony Pollard dominating the backfield work. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss anything that's, like, important. We're not breaking down, like, fantasy people, that sort of thing. All right. Maybe tomorrow or the day after we'll go over more of the injuries and that sort of thing as they start kind of coming in there. Now, before we turn our attention to the big three, the 3 games that I watched, we need to go over the Pete Rose Bowl cut and OJ's Juicery. Before I do that, I need another drink from my good friends, James Reddy, Dry Ice. All right. So Pete Rose Bowl cut. Sage doesn't want me to talk about it. He's nervous. He's a nervous Nelly right now. He's currently up 10-6 against Mother after week 1 with 1 week to go. And I know that there's butterflies in his stomach. I can tell. Vlad the Impaler is up 11-5 against the Dark Sliders. We've got Orange Juicy Fruit up, 13-3 against Graham's great team. And finally, against a team I either swept 15-1 or 16-0 during the regular season, I do have a commanding lead in the semifinals. I'm up 16-0 to Alejandro's unastounding team. So it looks like I'm punching my tickets to the finals. I'm just waiting to see. Am I taking Nick Kurtz and the Nets Awesome team? Or am I taking Tommy Callahan's auto parts and a muffler? We shall see, ladies and gentlemen. All right, to OJ's Juicery, we're just going to go over the actual score and the projected score. And because there's decimals, I'm going to round it up, because I don't want to get into decimals. So currently I have a slight lead on Tim Tebow's Bible Club. I'm up 267 to 266. I've got Justin Jefferson going tomorrow, my only player, and I'm projected to win 285 to 277. So we'll see what happens there. We got Tommy Callahan's auto parts getting lucky with Zay Flowers making a few plays late. He's up 264 to 249 against Mother. He's playing Mother in both leagues. He's projected to win 287 to 270. That's pretty impressive for hard counting net, if you ask me, given she didn't have a defense. That is impressive. She's going to be competitive all year, and that's what we were looking for. We've got deflate these balls. You better deflate them. Deflategate. 307 to 250 against Patchwork. I almost said Penguins, Pigskins. He's projected to win 317 to 287. That's a big week for those balls over there in Deflategate. And you got Butt Fumble Safety projected to lose 276 to 350. He's already got a loss because Touchdowns in Your Face has 338 points. And he's got no more players going. So our first win of the week does go to TDs in Your Face, who is projected for a resounding 350 points. If only they could do it in the other league. If only they could do it when they're up against the people's champion, the Rodfather himself, also known as Fourth Quarter Steven. All right, going to take a look at the comments, and then we're going to break down the big three. All right. So, where's the Aaron Rodgers talk at? Well, if you've been listening to the broadcast at all, Dan, I said I was going to break down the big three that I either watched or fell asleep to. So Aaron Rodgers will be next. Sage says he's not nervous about shit. About shit. That's good. Sounds like you're regular. Sage says lucky. Then Corpse File says, leave me alone. And then Dan says, Jamar Chase is on the trade block. Well, I certainly have interest in Jamar Chase. We could talk shop later tonight. We'll have a couple drinks. You know, I'll roll a couple joints for you. You know, maybe hit you with a vaccination, and we could talk trade there. Sage says, wait, did the Bills win? I stopped watching after the last Henry touchdown. Well, Sage, we're gonna break that down for you in a minute. We're gonna save that for last, okay? We're gonna save the best for last. But let's get into Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Jets 34-32. Now, Chris Boswell had to hit with 1 minute and 8 seconds left, I believe it was, a 60-yard field goal. Now, how did Aaron Rodgers look today, looking at him, I don't know, without any sort of bias? Well, he looked fucking good. He was the second highest rated quarterback this week. He was at 136.7 rating. He threw 4 touchdowns, averaging 8.1 yards per throw. He did take 4 sacks, though, and he had 244 yards, but he was efficient. He was 22 for 30. He did not look great in times of scrambling or moving up. His speed has definitely gone down, but he can still move a little bit, and he can certainly throw off balance and still get the ball where he needs to get it going. So Aaron Rodgers doing a lot better than Patrick Mahomes, who's got an 89.5 rating over there. Now, offensively, he hit a lot of receivers, which is what he typically does do. DK Metcalf, he threw a few that weren't that far down the field, and DK Metcalf made some plays. Didn't have a touchdown, though. Calvin Austin seems to be a favorite for Rodgers. He hit him 4 times for 70 yards and a tutty. He hit Pat Freiermuth 3 times for 28 yards. This guy, Ben Skowronek, 1 time for 22 yards. Was a touchdown, though. That was the first touchdown of the season for the Steelers. A beautiful play design to Jaylen Warren, though. Jaylen Warren, it was a little play action, I believe, and then just flip it to the right. Easy peasy. And then he had a kind of a cheap touchdown there to Jonnu Smith, where, you know, they had Jonnu Smith actually coming across, you know, an end around type of thing. And then he just flipped it forward. Jonnu Smith took it to the right side. It was a beautiful looking play, honestly. But I will say a few things about this game. I did fall asleep. I did watch the highlights, you know, that sort of thing. The Steelers defense didn't do him any favors today. Granted, it's the first week of the year. Maybe they're a bit slow. They don't have Derek Harmon playing yet. Derek Harmon will be a difference maker. I do expect the Steelers defense to be great. I will say Jalen Ramsey made a great play against Garrett Wilson to close out the game. He fucking walloped him. He hit him real good. At first I thought he should have caught it. Then I watched the replay. I was like, oh no. He hit him really fucking hard. And that was a great play by him. Not to be lost in this game, though, Justin Fields was pretty good. He rushed for 48 yards. He had 119 rating. Now, he's not great with the ball. He needs time to throw the ball. He's a run-first guy. He's not ever going to be a pass-first guy. But Breece Hall was good, man. He had 107 yards on 19 carries. Braylon Allen, he had a touchdown. He only had fucking 9 yards on 6 carries. I think this guy is just a stick in the mud, if I'm being honest with you. I think that the Steelers are playing the Seahawks next. That will be a good test. We need to see if Sam Darnold actually shows up. Because if they get a chance to pin their ears back, they can really fuck up Sam Darnold. The thing about the Jets today is they kept the game very close. Justin Fields is a great scrambler. Whether you like him as a quarterback or not, he is a great scrambler, and he kept the game close. If he had to pass, they could have fucking teed off on him with Alex Smith and fucking TJ Watt. Now, I think it's a great game for Rodgers. He was 4 fucking touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns to end the year last year and 4 touchdowns to start the year this year. He was great in the second half last year. He was just as good as Patrick Mahomes last year during the regular season. He's 41 fucking years old. give the guy some fucking respect. That's all I'm going to say. The Steelers are not going to win the division, in my opinion, but I think they'll get 10 wins, which will get them in the playoffs as a wild card team. I do think that. Now, I'm going to take a look at the comments before I move on to the Packers game. He played good with a shitty O-line and D. I don't necessarily think that their O-line was shit, though. I don't think that the O-line is shit. I think that this is an O-line that you're going to watch grow. They've got Zach Frazier in the center. They got Fatonu to right tackle. And they got Broderick Jones at left tackle. And then they got McCormick guy at right guard. These are all guys that were drafted very high. Most of them are in their second year. He can help those guys. Quinnen Williams is good. What's that guy's name there, that pass rusher, McDonald? I fucking forget his first name. McDonald. He's a good fucking pass rusher as well. So let's not kid ourselves. Those are some good pass rushers. And Jermaine Johnson had a good pressure as well. But I think, the good thing is they're going to have a good run game. Caleb Johnson as the season goes on. It's Will McDonald, by the way. Caleb Johnson will get more involved. They've got Jalen Warren. They're going to be okay, I think. Jalen Warren was better than Najee Harris, and he's going to fit this offense a lot better. Sage says, careful with the Patrick Mahomes slander. You'll get banned. Well, I do apologize, Patrick Mahomes, but you're not as good as you were 5 years ago, and you're extremely overrated. He's going to fucking pull the plug on this live chat as soon as he can. A couple more comments. Dan saying, and no running game. They lost Joey Porter Jr. Well, it was bigger when they lost Joey Porter Sr., the father. He was a lot better of a player. And a few other defenders. Well, you got a lot of injuries. You got a lot of injuries to a lot of teams. That's football. That's the way it's going to be. And they added to their secondary. They added Darius Slay. They added Jalen Ramsey. Those guys are ahead of him on the depth chart anyway, except maybe Slay, who plays maybe more of a slot role. But I don't want to talk about injuries, because one injury in the game that concerns me with the Packers was losing Zach Tom. I hope Zach Tom is not injured in a serious way, because that would be terrible. But let's get to the Green Bay Packers, and I'll have a little bit of a venting session as well. So Green Bay won. I expected them to win. Now, I didn't expect them to win this big. Now, the score is 27-13 at the end of the game. At the end of the game, basically with I don't know how much time left, like a minute or something, Detroit scores a touchdown. It's a garbage time touchdown. If you actually watch the footage, I do not believe that Tesla had control of the ball. It went to his right hand. I don't think he establishes control till it hits both hands. That's my opinion. I don't think that should have been a touchdown at all. It probably should have been a 27-6 game, because that was a fourth down conversion as well. It doesn't matter. It boosts Jared Goff up to an 88.6 rating. He would have been in the low 80s. Jared Goff was forced today to throw very quick passes, and it wasn't just Micah Parsons. He was 31 for 39. He only averaged 5.8 per throw, per chuck, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And do you know who was a lot better? Jordan Love, 16 for 22, only 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 128.6 rating. Now, let's go back to Jared Goff for a second. What happened on that Jared Goff interception that he got? Who got the pressure right away, do you think? It was fucking Micah Parsons. He doesn't get any stats for this, but he was making Jared Goff throw that ball over and over and over again extremely quickly. Extremely quickly. Let's look at the Detroit Lions as a whole and what they did. They only had one receiver show up today, Sam Laporta, 6 receptions for 79 yards. Their running game was completely shut down. As a team, they had 22 carries for 46 yards. Math-wise, that's 2.1 per carry. The longest run they let was to Jahmyr Gibbs for 14 fucking yards. That's pretty fucking spectacular when you actually think about that, because what was Detroit last year? They were the number one offense in the fucking league. So, extremely impressive. What I like to see today was just like, how many receptions did Green Bay have? They had 16 receptions. How many guys caught the ball? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different guys on 16 receptions caught the ball. So Jordan Love, other than one stupid play that could have been picked off, was in complete control. And it could have been a pick. But in complete control today. Romeo Doubs was our stud. He only had 2 catches for 68 yards. It's just kind of crazy. And if you kind of look at the Green Bay Packers a little bit here, like, how many sacks did we have? We had 4. That doesn't do us our due diligence on what we actually did. Like, okay, we'll run through who got sacks. Micah Parsons got a sack. You got Devontae Watt. He looked really good. He almost had a 2nd sack. He had 1 sack as well. Lucas Van Ness had a half sack. Rashawn Gary had 1.5 sacks. 7 total tackles. And if we look up and down this lineup, we had 84 fucking total tackles. 84! With the leaders being Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard, a slot corner, and Quay Walker. It's pretty phenomenal how we played today. I guarantee you, Sage, when you fire Brian Callahan, you'll be interviewing our defensive coordinator right now, Jeff Halfley, because he's an absolute stud. And I like that we got Micah Parsons out there for 30 snaps. Those are just warm-up snaps. They are saving some in the tank for Washington, and he's going to wreak havoc. This guy is a difference maker, honestly. He's not quite as fast as Lamar Jackson, but he can catch Lamar Jackson if we need him to. And this guy is perfect. He just fits in perfectly. Now, Josh Jacobs wasn't great today. Only 66 yards on 19 carries. However, his damage did come in the second half. So, I'm telling you, this Packers team, they looked phenomenal. And I'm not saying that because I'm more likely to criticize a team that I like than to give them a compliment. This team looks like they could potentially win 13 or 14 games without a problem. Not without a problem, but I'm just saying, there is some huge upside here for the youngest team in the NFL. We're going to turn our attention to the comments, then we're going to break down what happened in Baltimore and Buffalo. Sage says, hope the Titans fire Callahan and hire John Gruden. You know, Sage, John Gruden's been doing some videos. Go to YouTube, actually. He'll have like a whiteboard up, and he actually breaks down stuff, and he does it very good. So you might want to watch some of his shit coming out. John Gruden would be great. I don't think he'll ever be a coach in the NFL again, though. Because the NFL had it out for him. He's currently in a lawsuit with the NFL. So I don't think it would happen. Although he'd be a good offensive mind, honestly. I do agree. He's a big fan of Cam Ward, says Sage, and he says Gruden is a good man. I agree. I think that would be like a good match made in heaven. I think you guys are going to have to get, a little Jeff Halfley or something like that. Now, Sage, to answer your question from earlier, the Baltimore Ravens lost tonight. They lost 41-40 to the Buffalo Bills. Now, we're going to get into that very shortly. Now, what I want to say is, remember last night when I'm like, hey, don't be surprised if this game becomes like a 45-38 game. I expected this to be a very high-scoring affair. Now, if I'm a fan of either of these teams right now, I'm being like, our defense sucks. Like, our defense is fucking awful. I'm just going to read what Sage is saying before I continue. Sage says, we need some sort of offensive guru who can actually call play. I agree. If you're going to have a head coach, you should have a head coach that's an offensive-minded one rather than a defensive-minded one. It is easier to replace a defensive-minded head coach for the most part than an offensive mind. Because if you've got a great offensive mind, you don't have to change your coordinator every 1 to 2 years. And that can stunt development, especially for a young quarterback. So I agree with Sage there. Now, to break down this game, Lamar Jackson was far more efficient and far better than Josh Allen. So he was 14 for 19, 210 yards passing, and he had a 144.6 rating, which currently leads the league. Now, Josh Allen was okay. He was good. I mean, he had 112 rating. He was 33 for 46, threw for almost 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, what I don't like about Buffalo when they play Baltimore is they become one-dimensional. So, A, they play too much nickel on defense. They allow too much rushing yardage to the opposing team. So that's first and foremost. And then B, they become one-dimensional on offense where they have to pass a ton. So they kind of lose their swagger a little bit, if you ask me. Now, here's what happened. So Derrick Henry had a great game. You know, I was going to be talking about how he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He is going to go to the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's great. What he's done after the age of 30 alone is pretty crazy. He had 169 yards today with 2 touchdowns on 18 carries. That's an average of 9.4 per carry. That's pretty damn good. Lamar Jackson, 6 carries for 70 yards, 11.7 average. So rushing-wise, Buffalo couldn't do shit. Couldn't do shit whatsoever. And the only fault is Derrick Henry did fumble. Derrick Henry barely fumbles. He did allow them in a 2-score game to get back in it. And Buffalo ended up, eventually taking the lead and winning on a last-second field goal attempt from 41-year-old Matt Prater. So it's pretty crazy. Now, the one thing I will say about Buffalo, because I'm going to criticize them a little bit, they got lucky this game. I do feel like they have a horseshoe up their ass a little bit, at least for this game. They had 1 touchdown that was tipped up, I believe it was by Dawson Knox. It went 5 yards to the right, and Keon Coleman made a hell of a grab. I'm not going to give Josh Allen credit for that touchdown because it was tipped 5 yards to the right. So I'm not giving him credit for that. That's a complete fluke play. They got lucky on that play. The other thing is early in the game, they went for, I think it was the mid-third quarter or maybe late third quarter, they went for a 2-point conversion. Why are you going for a fucking 2-point conversion when the game will be tied? Worst case. Unless you miss your fucking point after, which doesn't happen very often. I know they got a flag, they put it to the 1-yard line, but you chase those points for the rest of the game. That is what would have been your undoing had it not been for the fluke catch by Keon Coleman. You went 0 for 3 for 2-point conversions after that. You were chasing too many points. You were leaving too many points on the table. And to me, that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. I get you guys got your advanced stats these days and you think you know everything. Well, guess what? Sometimes taking the field goal or taking the fucking point after is the right call. You start chasing points too early, and it's just a debacle. I see it burn teams more than it helps them when they want to go up 6 rather than stay at, tied or whatever. Like, it's just fuck off with that shit, man. They should have lost the game. They got very lucky tonight. I'm going to throw that out there right now. I'm going to take a look at the comments here. Sage says Lamar is unreal. Henry is still a monster. It's such a shock to see Henry fumble. And that was the big difference, was Henry fumbling. But at the same time, don't you think it's a little ridiculous when we're talking about, like, why are you going for fucking 2-point conversion when you're down by 7? You'd be down by 7. Why put yourself in the predicament of being down by 8 and then having to chase points? If you miss that, it's like, shit, they score a touchdown down by 15, which was the case in this game. It was like 40-15 late in the game. Buffalo got very lucky that they, scored 22 points to Baltimore 6 in the fourth quarter. Most of that coming off the Henry shit, whatever. Also, another thing I want to say is half the stadium in Buffalo left. Half their fans left by like the fourth quarter. Half their fans were gone, or early fourth quarter. And it's like, you guys don't. You're just rich fucks that have nothing better to do. You're not real fans. A real fan in a 2-score game is going to stick around to see what the fuck happens. Because if you're like me, who's a Green Bay Packers fan, who would fucking have their fucking hearts broken time and time again, you know that a 2-score lead isn't worth shit. I remember the Seattle Seahawks beating us in the playoffs when we were up 16 in 2015 with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left. So, fuck off with that shit, man. You guys can't be going home when it's a fucking 2-score game. Especially you got fucking Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen fucking against each other. Like, what the fuck's going on there, man? Like, that's absolute bullshit. It's a big win for the Bills, Sage. I do encourage you to take a look at the replays and stuff, or the highlights, whatever you want to call them, because I do want you to like see what I'm talking about with the Keon Coleman touchdown catch. If you can do that for me by tomorrow, I'd appreciate it. Huge fluke, but I mean, you got to get breaks to come back too, right? It's a crazy comeback for the Bills. They were stuck, 40-25 late in the game. They came back and won 41-40. It's crazy. Anyway, Sage, I think we've covered that. Unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to chime into the Thunder. Oh! Time out. I'm freezing the kicker right now. I swear to God, I was listening to the end of the game, and it was the Bills. It was the Bills. They said something cloud. And I said, damn, it sounds like they're saying thundercloud out there. Thundercloud. Like, it actually sounded like that. Josh Allen did not win the MVP last year, in my opinion. Yeah, I get that he had 12 touchdowns, 3,700 yards. He had his best year for touchdowns to interceptions. But Lamar Jackson was the first quarterback to ever have over 4,100 yards passing and 900 yards rushing in the same season. He was 41 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, if my memory is correct. Only 4 rushing touchdowns. But Lamar Jackson was far superior to Josh Allen. And I like Josh Allen a lot. I'm not a huge Lamar Jackson fan because I don't like that he puts the silver shit on his teeth. That's just my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. But yeah, if you're looking at MVP, you can also take it one layer further. Okay, the same 50 voters that voted for Lamar Jackson to be the all-pro number 1, which means the best, right, are the same ones that voted for Josh Allen to be the MVP. How does that make sense? Make that make sense. And when has that ever happened? Oh, Nameless, you're coming in hot. You're coming in late. No, we already talked about the major leagues and how the Yankees are up 2 games on the Jays. And how Max Fried is 16-5, having a great year. And how you guys beat us 4-3. How Boston beat the D-backs fucking, I think it was fucking 7-4 or something. I don't fucking know what the score was. Wasn't paying attention to baseball. We did cover that. Neighbors, you're coming in right when we're closing up shop. We even covered your Giants and how Russell Wilson sucks. And how Russell Wilson is only averaging 4.5 fucking yards per fucking throw. Sage says Max Fried is a great auto parts employee. Yeah, he looks like he knows how to work a muffler. Now, if you get Jackson Dart in there, Nameless, you guys are going to be looking at some stats. You guys could have kept that game close today with Jackson Dart. So, I would look to play him next game if I'm, what's his name, Steve Dable or whatever the fuck it is. That's who I'd be looking to play. You don't trust who? Sage or Steve or Brian Dable, whatever his name is? I feel bad now, but Nameless, the stream is ending. Jackson, not Jackson. Alright, you picking on me or something? You want to have a little fucking fist fight right now? Come on down yonder to fucking Nova Scotia and I'll push you right off of fucking Peggy's Cove. How does that sound? You want to get thrown into the fucking ocean there, Nameless? I didn't think so. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I hope Malik Neighbors sprains his fucking brain. I wouldn't pay you enough to visit. I'd pay you enough for a super fight, though. And we could put it right on this telecast over here. You're fucking right, I would. Nameless, are you going to be around tomorrow? Or do you have fucking school? For fuck's sakes. You know what, Nameless? You're not even allowed to leave comments after the fact anymore. YouTube shut me down. Apparently, calling Patrick Mahomes overrated gets you shut down in this town. So you can't even leave comments if you wanted to. Be sure to watch the videos, but you're not going to be allowed to leave comments. So, yeah, YouTube doesn't like me right now. We're kind of on the fritz right now. Okay. Damn, 7's early, man. 7 is early. That's terrible. All right, it is time for me to listen to... I'm not kidding. No, I'm not kidding. It literally happened the day after. I didn't say anything bad. That's what I don't understand. I literally called out Patrick Mahomes on... I don't know, I just said he was overrated. And I went through and I used statistical analysis for the last 4 years, and I broke it down, and I said he's overrated. And then the next day I see that I'm blocked him. I'm just thinking, like, okay, why can't they leave comments? Like, what's the worst I said? And then I'm like thinking, okay, what's the other bad thing that I might have said? And when Ken Dryden died yesterday, I said, oh, something about how, like, I don't know, like, oh, we don't care about that because he used to play on the Habs. And then I proceeded to say, rest in peace, Ken Dryden. Because, you know, there's a rivalry, obviously, between the Leafs and the Habs. That's the only things I can think of that I've said that would potentially get me banned, is Patrick Mahomes or, like, a quick little joke about Ken Dryden. I didn't say he belonged in that museum. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But, no, it's weird, man. I don't know. I tried changing the settings, thinking that maybe the settings had changed, but... you know, we might be taking our services elsewhere. We might be going to Twitch. We'll stay on YouTube, but we might have to go to Twitch as well, in case these little fuckers keep shutting us down. But no, I didn't. Sage, probably Patrick Mahomes is watching. And you know, if he is, fuck you, Patrick. Fuck you. He was a big fan till the other day. Well, then maybe he should have promoted my shit. He should have fucking, you know... Stream on Truth Social. Is that a real streaming place? But Sage, have I said anything the last 2 nights that would be considered... I don't even think I've said anything bad at all, to be honest. Sage, have I said anything that should warrant me not having my peoples allowed to fucking leave a comment? Oh, well, maybe that's where I need to go. We're going to go to Truth Social now. Maybe we'll get behind this little YouTube conspiracy and why they're trying to shut me down. I don't know. Sage, give me an honest answer. Have I said anything? I'm pretty good. I will talk shit, but I don't say anything that's like vehement. You know what I mean? Someone reported me. Sage says it was me. Wow, that feels like Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, and I'm Ric Flair right now, and I'm chicken legging my ass over to the center of the ring just to get kicked in the fucking pork chops by Shawn Michaels. Nameless says he probably fucking did it because the Jays won on Friday. You son of a bitch, I knew it was one of you guys, honestly. I've reported you guys. You guys are going to lose your wrench. How's that sound? What has that stench Kevin Mensch, you little bitch? Sorry, I didn't mean to call you guys bitches. I mean bitches in a good thing. It's a good way. Maybe Graham took a retaliatory protest against us. You're right. For kicking him out of the fucking leagues. You know, tonight on Unsolved Mysteries, we find out why Graham fucking did what he did. It could be Stefan. Oh my god. It could be Stefan. No one fires Graham. I think it is Stefan. Yeah, I think Stefan makes sense. If it got back to him, he definitely would be the type. Well, you know what? I am obligated as a citizen of Canada to report sex offenders. And I did what I needed to do. I made this community a little safer. Dan, do you want to flipper? Caught you while he was watching from his jail cell. I think that sounds about right to me. Get some of the traveling Wilburys ready. Oh, God. I think everyone, we just need to calm down. YouTube's trying to shut us down. But you know what? At the end of the day, just grab yourself a nice little dry ice Steve Weiser and just relax, okay? RELAX. Relax. Both New York teams lost today. I like that. I like it a lot. I will be trying to make a Discord channel for the Thundercloud when I learn it, and B, Twitch as well. I will try to figure that out. Just stream on Discord. Well, it needs to be recorded, though. Nameless says, you know you can stream on Discord, right? Huh. But is it going to record? Like, am I going to get views and shit? I could record it manually. That almost sounds like something Stefan would do. It almost sounds like something Stefan would do. Is record it manually. Yeah? Little upskirt shit. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that road. I see what happens. You end up in jail, Nameless. I don't got no bail money for that. Alright, on that note, let's fizzle on out here. You guys have a good night. Nameless, thanks for joining. Please watch the program, even though you're not going to be allowed to comment for the foreseeable. They've got me on probation in YouTube, but we're going to get past this, okay? We're going to move past this, and we'll be in a better spot. Because, honestly, fuck YouTube. That's all I'm going to say. Fuck YouTube. All right, have a good night, guys. We'll chat tomorrow. Over and out.